Well, we still have a lot to learn about COVID-19, including why the virus seems to disproportionately affect people from Black, Asian and minority ethnic backgrounds. More than a third of those seriously ill in hospital in England and Wales fall into those categories, according to analysis from the Intensive Care National Audit and Research Centre. As millions of Muslims across the UK prepare to observe the month of Ramadan, Anka Desai has been finding out how living conditions are making them particularly vulnerable to the virus.
Boys, it's ready!
Meet Kinza.
I forgot garlic bread today.
She lives with 9 people in the same home. Her husband and son, as well as her in-laws, 2 elderly parents and 4 brothers.
And then that bedroom just down there is my mother and father-in-law's bedroom.
It's a familiar scene. Living life under lockdown is a struggle.
Social distancing doesn't really happen here because we're all in one house together. I mean, everyone has their own room and whatnot, but it's just difficult to have like 2 meters between everyone. So my father-in-law is getting ready to go to work.
It's an issue faced by many British Asian households, often with 3 and sometimes 4 generations all under one roof.
I think we're all just giving each other space because everyone is normally so busy being out and now being home.
Of course, you can't go to the mosque.
Whereas normally everyone will get up at whatever time they do and make their own way to the mosque. But this time it's actually really nice, everyone praying together at home.
Although families have found a way to come together for the routine, it's the fear of the unexpected.
We know a few people who have passed away and unfortunately they have only been able to have 5 people at their funeral. As Muslims, we believe that if a Muslim who's passed away has 100 people who are practicing Muslims at their funeral, it's like their one-way ticket to heaven.
Carrom board is a game that I would say a lot of British Asians would play during lockdown.
Despite their fears, this tight-knit family are finding their own way through lockdown, through kindness and keeping busy. Government figures suggest that cramped housing is more likely to be a problem amongst ethnic minority families. If we look at some of the figures, 30% of the UK Bangladeshi population live in overcrowded housing. Now that's in comparison to just 2% amongst the white British population. On the tightly packed streets of Bradford, local community leaders who are pulling together to fight the threat of Covid-19 see the issues faced firsthand.
The general issue is that the younger generations are a little bit relaxed about COVID and not so concerned. But the risk factor is when they go back into their households, there's a serious risk of them contaminating their parents, their grandparents.
And that's why there's potentially a greater danger to the families within these crowded houses, and why the Asian community is facing an extra challenge as it attempts to keep COVID-19 at bay.
Well, Anka joins me now in the studio. Really interesting report from you there, Anka, and just really highlighting the difficulties, the concerns for people living in multi-generational households.
Yeah, absolutely. Kinza was just one of a number of families we've spoken to over the course of the last few weeks, and multi-generational living is a key component of British Asian families. Often 3 to 4 generations are under one roof. A lot of them could be key workers. They could also be working in the takeaway industry. For example, the family there, Kinza's father-in-law runs a takeaway business, so he's often coming in and out, coming into contact potentially with a lot of people. So it is a challenge when you've got 9 people under one roof.
And the issue of funerals is obviously affecting everybody. It's very distressing for people not to be able to properly see their loved ones and say goodbye. But a very interesting point in your report about actually the important symbolism around a funeral for many.
Absolutely, yeah. So Muslims believe that if you have 100 or more people at a gathering, at a burial, then that person will go to heaven, as Kinza mentioned in that report as well. And it's significant because people will want to pay their last respects. And it goes across other British Asian faiths as well. If you look at the Sikh religion, Hinduism as well, a lot of people are struggling to have their nearest and dearest at the gatherings. My mother was even telling me that she had to watch one funeral online, for example. And it's quite an unusual experience for a lot of people from British Asian households.
And how are they dealing with that then? because those things are going to affect people for a long time, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. A lot of people are often struggling to say farewell to somebody who might be stranded abroad as well. We've spoken to a lot of people, case studies, who say that they've been stranded abroad, so someone's passed away in the family, they've been unable to say farewell to them, and that's taken an emotional toll. And it's something within the Asian community, a lot of people don't really talk about their mental health or their personal feelings a lot of the time. So it's essential that maybe people do learn to talk to each other and during these difficult times support each other as well.
Everybody's going to be dealing with different things, but everybody has emotions that, as you say, it's important to share, and feelings. Thank you, Anka.